Boonies, it looks like Nancy Grace has finally done something on this case. I'm curious to hear what she says, curious to see what her experts say. So let's get a few clips and check this out. I love how Nancy always says, breaking news. I'm like, Nancy, that's 4 years ago, honey. She's so funny. I love her.
Public Defender's Office, Philip Dubé. Did you hear? She was completely deadpan. My boyfriend is dead. Just like that. I can't wait for the jury to hear that.
She's referring to the 911 call. And it wasn't, oh, I need help, my boyfriend, help George. He's suffering. Oh my gosh, what happened? It wasn't that. It was, my boyfriend's dead. He's just dead. He's not breathing. He's purple.
How would you battle that in court? What, try to suppress the 911 call?
Oh, no. First of all, you got to remember, she just came off a bender. She was probably still hungover from the night before because I think they guzzled down an entire bottle of wine. But you got to remember, too, she was
whoa. Hold on, Tubé. Don't drag him into her wine bottle, okay? Yeah, we don't know he was in the bottle. We know she was because I can hear.
I got to use that. Don't drag him into her wine bottle.
Her between sentences going, okay, so go ahead.
Well, legally, the wine does not help her under Florida law.
I do like that he said that. Of course, this is a California lawyer, but he makes the comment that under Florida law, legal intoxication is not an excuse.
I appreciate what you're saying about voluntary use of drugs or alcohol. It's not a defense in Florida. That's everywhere. But I'm asking you about her saying, my boyfriend's dead. It's like she might as well be saying, hey, let me order 2 Chick-fil-A sandwiches and a Diet Coke.
Nancy's right. I think about this and I'm like, wait a minute. So she can't use the voluntary intoxication. They can't say, oh, she was drunk. She didn't mean to. That's why she did it.
She's also numb from years of abuse from him.
Oh.
Don't you remember what she said in the clip? She said, now, you can't breathe. Now you know what it's like all those times you were choking me. So it sounds like that she was exercising dominion and control.
He's drinking the Kool-Aid.
So he wouldn't ever harm her.
Oh, you mean revenge? It's very clear she brought that up, but she's angry because she thinks he cheated on her.
Okay, to use the word revenge, and I get what Nancy's saying, I honestly think that Sarah might have accidentally used the revenge defense in her interrogation video. I think she walked into that by accident, but she was delusional about what she wanted to revenge for. I think this poor guy thought she hung the moon. You guys remember in one of those videos we watched in that, I think it was the summer of 2019 video on the body cam where he's being taken to jail and he leans over his back and goes, I love you, babe. So sad.
Again, just like voluntary use of drugs or alcohol is not a defense. Revenge
is not a defense.
Not a defense. Not a defense. Accident, 100% a defense, a total defense. Self-defense, 100% a defense. Insanity would be an affirmative defense where you say, I did it, but I was crazy. But revenge is not a defense. Lecturer at the esteemed Burnett School of Medicine at TCU, Dr. Kendall Crowns, why would a person be purple?
Why would they be purple? Well, that could be from postmortem lividity. That's as their heart stops, the blood pools and it gets kind of this purple coloration. It could also be from the fact that he has a lack of oxygen for a prolonged period of time. So instead of his blood having that red coloration, it has a more purplish kind of hue to it.
Nancy goes on to here to explain the lividity portion. So when someone dies, let's say if you're laying flat on your back and you pass, lividity, the blood goes to the area, it settles in the body. So it goes down into the back area, the buttocks, the back of the legs, the back underneath the arms. Gravity takes a hold of the blood, if that makes sense.
think that a suitcase is not airtight. So it's not a matter of having no air. Even if you don't have enough air, you die.
Correct. Over time, you're not getting enough oxygen. So you're not getting enough oxygen to your body's tissues, your organs, of things of that nature. He's in a restricted environment. He's probably balled up in kind of a fetus position, making it very difficult to breathe. So he is dying a slow death of asphyxiation or lack of oxygen getting to him.
So that would be.
That is so sad. A slow death. So talk about somebody suffering. Maybe he was alive when she went up to sleep. Let's look up the medical terms, or let's look up the Google versions of what they say about asphyxiation. Asphyxiation is caused by lack of oxygen. It can quickly lead to loss of consciousness, brain injury, or death. Some causes of asphyxiation include drowning, asthma, and choking. I never thought about that from drowning. Asphyxiation is often caused by accident. You know, I guess that's like if somebody gets sick and with vomit and they choke on their own vomit. Have you guys heard about that? 4 types of asphyxia: suffocation, strangulation, mechanical asphyxia, and drowning. So that's why they said his was suffocation asphyxia. Confined spaces, entrapment. What does a body look like after asphyxiation? Traumatic or crush asphyxia is characterized by intense discoloration of the skin of the head, neck, and upper chest with multiple petechial hemorrhages within the area of congestion. Asphyxia can be divided into 4 stages: initial apnea, dyspnea, cessation of respiration, terminal apnea, and arrest of the heart. Okay, so how fast is asphyxiation? Hypoxia is a fast process. It's estimated that loss of consciousness due to oxygen deprivation can occur 5 to 10 seconds, and within 60 seconds, cerebral damage can be irreversible due to hypoxia. But I want to say here, I think what they're saying is that once your body has reached that limit of being deprived oxygen, so with George, it was over time. That's when it kicked in. There are non-specific physical signs used to attribute death to asphyxia. These include visceral congestion via dilation of the venous blood vessels and blood stasis, petechia, cyanosis, and fluidity of the body. Petechia are the tiny little the little blood hemorrhages that you see. Now, I think we're going to hear more about that in the ME report. So what happens to a human body during asphyxiation? Asphyxia causes generalized hypoxia, which affects all the tissues and organs, some more rapidly than others. There are many circumstances that can induce asphyxia, all of which are characterized by the inability of a person to acquire sufficient oxygen through breathing for an extended period of time. Without the painful and traumatic feeling of suffocation, I'm reading like inserts from different articles, but I'm not getting what I want to hear. Oh, like they mentioned scuba diving, rebreather accidents. That's when they're talking about when you're breathing in a gas, not when you're loss of oxygen. Symptoms of asphyxiation include rapid breathing, rapid heart rate, clumsiness, confusion, fatigue, nausea and vomiting, collapse, convulsions, coma, and death. Asphyxiation can lead to loss of consciousness, brain injury, or death. Brain cells begin to die. Your brain cells begin to die after 30 to 180 seconds of oxygen deprivation. That's not long at all, huh? And the neurons suffer more extensive damage after 3 minutes. Lasting brain damage becomes more likely after 3 minutes, and death becomes imminent after 5 minutes. Maybe he passed out and it was not as even if it was a slow death, he had passed out and he wasn't in a lot of pain. Now it says positional asphyxiation occurs when your body is in a position that blocks or obstructs your breathing. It most commonly occurs in newborn babies or infants who aren't strong enough to reposition their bodies. I know I've read some of this before, y'all, but you at some point will lose your ability to talk before passing out. Okay, so here are the timelines of the effects of oxygen deprivation on the brain. 30 to 180 seconds, you have loss of consciousness. Within 1 minute, your brain cells begin to die. Within 3 minutes, neurons experience more extensive damage. and lasting brain damage becomes more likely. Within 5 minutes, death becomes imminent. Within 10 minutes, even if the brain remains alive, a coma and long-lasting brain damage are most inevitable. And after 15 minutes, survival becomes nearly impossible. And then everything on that article is all about how to treat the injuries, but as we know, George didn't survive. Okay, let's go back to the video.
A renowned psychoanalyst joining us out of LA. She's at drbethanymarshall.com, and you can see her right now on Peacock. She's the author of Deal Breaker. Dr. Bethany, weigh in.
I would be interested in looking at her online searches. This is a person who wanted to kill him. Let's be clear. She thought about this for a long, long time. She thought about the most heinous and cruel way to do it. You do not end up in a suitcase because you're playing hide and seek, right? You can't zip the suitcase up yourself. You are lured into the suitcase. Maybe you're given a couple of glasses of wine. Maybe you're told this is a part of sex play or something funny that the two of you are doing together. Or let's just experiment with zipping up the suitcase, and then I'm going to unzip it, and then we'll have sex. You know, something like that. So she lured him. And it's not clear if he really cheated on her or choked her. You know, I had a patient once where she was a very high level professional. He would wake up in the middle of the night with his wife kicking him. She would just viciously kick him. And he came to therapy saying, "Oh, Dr. Marshall, I must have done so many things wrong." And I said to him, "You didn't do anything wrong. She just hates you and she's malicious and she wants to kick you."
I don't like how they don't all know the facts on this. Is that bothering any of y'all? So her saying that about the planning of it, I still don't think Sarah's that smart. I mean, did she have the urge to at times? Did she have the disdain for George at times? Yeah. But to say that she premeditated this in the sense that she planned this whole thing down to him getting in a suitcase, I don't think so.
According to the medical examiner, the victim had been in the suitcase for at least 11 hours. We also learn, according to the autopsy report, that the victim had a black eye and other bruises and cuts on his head. His back and hands were covered in abrasions, bruises, and cuts, indicating blunt impacts across the body. Did she beat him with a blunt object?
Okay, something I've never said on this channel, and it just hit me. I've always said that I think the suitcase was upstairs and he got in it upstairs. What if it was downstairs? What if he got in it when it was downstairs? Then she sees him in it, whatever. She zips him up to hold him in there. She pulls the suitcase using the handle. She pulls the suitcase up the staircase. I think it's possible for her to do that. He was 120 pounds, and it might have taken her a little bit of time. She might have been struggling to do it, but I think I could see that might have been a noise maybe that Vincent heard. And what if, okay, this is speculation. What if she was trying to get him up the stairs so that she could have him in the suitcase next to the bed so she could watch him better? Because she wanted to go get in her bed with her dogs. So she didn't want to leave him downstairs. She wanted to watch him, listen to him, maybe even record him. But in the process of trying to pull him up the stairs, she somehow, because she is drunk, she somehow loses her grip on the suitcase. And that was the tumbling and the banging noise of him going down the stairs. Has anybody thought about that theory of it? That maybe him going down the stairs in the suitcase wasn't intentional? Because, I mean, I've always looked at it like she started at the top of the stairs and she just pushed the suitcase down because she just didn't give a crap. She probably didn't think anything about it. Like, she probably, knowing her, she'd be like, oh, he's protected by a suitcase. She's so dumb. But it could be possible that she was trying to get him upstairs next to the bed by her so that she could still talk to him while she was getting in the bed. But she loses her grip and the suitcase goes plowing down the staircase. It's just a thought. We're pretty sure the videos were taken after that happened.
Did she beat him with a blunt object while he's in the suitcase? Straight out to Robin Dreek. Why? Because he is a behavior expert and former FBI special agent, chief of the FBI Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis program, author of Unbreakable Alliances, The Spy Recruiter's Authoritative Guide to Cultivating Powerful and Lasting Connections. Okay, I'm more interested in the book Sizing People Up, a veteran FBI agent's manual for behavior prediction. Analyze what you just saw.
Well, not just in this moment, her lack of effect, as we've been saying throughout the show so far, and her entire demeanor and behavior really strikes as a really great case of obsessive compulsive personality disorder. She has a zero ability to have empathy or impact with any human beings emotionally. And we're seeing it in everything that we've seen so far. And also this whole notion that she's being abused. Okay, then how did she get him to get in that suitcase if she didn't have a great high level of manipulation as well?
Okay, wait, explain that reasoning right there.
So how do you get a guy that is supposedly abusing you to get into a suitcase? I mean, it took her to convince him or manipulate him or inspire him to get inside. Then he allowed her to zip him up. And how? Why? You know, it's also interesting too. I know we've mentioned it briefly, but the alcohol involved here, 40% of homicides involve alcohol. That is a huge number, and I think plays a huge part in this because it lowers the inhibition, as we've already said from the other guests. This is something she pre-planned, something that was in her mind to do. When you lower that inhibition with the 40% of homicide perpetrators use alcohol as that lower inhibition tool in their lives, this is a result. And again, that we're seeing this total need to control in her courtroom appearances, in that she got rid of all of her other defense attorneys. And what more control do you have when you actually kill someone by putting them into a suitcase? That is the ultimate form of control of death.
Okay. I want to look over here at the impulse control disorders on Google, and I want to talk about this a little bit. Impulse control disorders, ICDs, are a group of behavioral conditions that can make it difficult to control impulses and behaviors. ICDs can cause excessive and harmful urges and behaviors that can lead to social and occupational difficulties, as well as legal and financial issues. All right. Angry outbursts, destroying property, starting fires, pulling hair, risky sexual behaviors, stealing, compulsive lying, well, we know that's on the list, poor social skills, isolating oneself from family and friends, and difficulty concentrating. I could see her difficulty in concentrating when she was being interviewed by the detectives. I always thought it was because she was upset or freaking out. Angry outburst, let's go down this list. Angry outburst, check, that's a Sarah Boone trait. Destroying property, we don't have any evidence that she did that, I don't think. Starting fires, we don't have any evidence of that. Hair pulling, we don't have any evidence of that. Risky sexual behaviors, we don't even want to know if she did that. Stealing, don't know. Compulsive lying, an absolute yes. Poor social skills. Sarah's not a very sophisticated person. We'll put it that way. That's probably the best way to put it. Some types include intermittent explosive disorder. Oh, pathological gambling. Mark, are you listening? And impulse control disorders and substance abuse. You know why I wanted to look at this really quick was because we feel like they're going to bring this up in her defense. The impulse control disorders usually appear in childhood or adolescence. Some of the common types of impulse control disorders include intermittent explosive disorder. It's known as IED, is characterized by persistent, impulsive, and angry outbursts. This person may be violent or aggressive towards people, animals, or property. These tirades may only last about an hour and are usually triggered by a minor issue with someone the person knows. The outburst may result in legal or financial issues. A person with oppositional defiant disorder frequently loses their temper, is easily annoyed, and often becomes angry or resentful. Resentful is definitely a word that I would use when I was listening to Sarah. They challenge authority figures. Hello, Miss Letter Writer. flout rules, bother other people on purpose. On purpose. Oh, you evil bitch. And blame other people for their problems. Well, not Sarah. Not Sarah. She's never done that. As a result of these behaviors, the person suffers problems at work and school and socially. The symptoms may appear as early as preschool. I mean, she does have this, y'all. I wanted to see what it says about impulse control. It said that this disorder is more commonly co-occurring with addiction. About 35 to 48% of people with intermittent explosive disorders also have substance abuse disorders. The two types of disorder also share similar features. For example, both impulse control and substance use disorders are characterized by compulsion and lack of control over a behavior or use of a substance, respectively. People with either disorder also experience a craving to use the substance or carry out the behavior, and both disorders are believed to involve the dopaminergic reward system of the brain. Interesting, huh? So it's likely that somebody that has that has alcohol or drug use problems. All right, let's go back to this.
That she has lost 8 lawyers. They're like a parade of defense attorneys. And when a defense attorney who represents killers, child molesters, dope dealers says, I can't take this woman, I'm out of here, that tells me something.
You know, you think about it, I wonder how they're going to find a jury that doesn't know about this case. I guess there are people out there. I mean, I'm sure there's stuff going on with other topics that we have no idea about. You know, us true crimers, we know all about it, right? We've been watching. Even if we don't watch a case, we're aware of a little bit of what's going on in the case because we live in the true crime world. I guess it's the equivalent of someone that says, you know what, I'm into sports. I watch football, I watch baseball, all that. I don't keep up with what's going on in the news. I don't keep up with what's going on in the true crime world. I guess they'd have to find somebody like that. Somebody that works all the time, has no desire to watch social media. Maybe somebody that has kids that just doesn't have time for it. That being said, I mean, there are plenty of people with kids that like true crime. I don't know how they're going to find anybody. I mean, now she's on Nancy Grace. Of course, she's been on court TV for quite some time. That's how the attorney in Milton, Florida found her. I don't know. I just kind of think about the people that fit that the people that fit that 12-person jury. It's just such a small, it's just narrowed down to just such a small amount. So let's say they call in like 150 people. I wonder how many people they're going to have to call in. Do y'all think jury, now that we have an attorney involved, jury deliberations could last up to 2 days possibly? It possibly could. And I do think that a lot of people are going to be like, are they going to be able to use the excuse that it's been so much in the media that, oh yeah, I saw it, I don't agree with what she did. People that don't want to be on a jury trial. Well, you know, we don't want them on the jury trial anyway, right? So you got those people that are going to be out. And then you've got, you know, the judge is going to say it's going to be about a week trial. I think it's going to be a little bit longer than a week. I don't know. We just watched that trial with the lady who shot her neighbor. Yeah, the one that shot her neighbor through the door down in Ocala, Florida. And that one was right at a week. They started jury deliberations on a Monday. They got their verdict by Friday afternoon. I just don't see that happening with this one, though. I think it's going to go a little bit slower. I'm thinking a week and a half. Really, I am. But I would love to know what y'all think.
Not a classified ad, but I have seen inmates do similar things. You know, they feel that their case is going to garner enough attention to put counsel in the limelight and generate future business. In the end, it's sort of a marketing ploy. Take my case, I can't pay you, but you'll have a future income stream based on all the media throng tied to my case.
Somebody needs to take the stick out of that guy's ass. He is just, he bothers me. I'm so mean. You guys working on this case is making me mean. I don't like myself right now.
And what? That didn't work with 8 prior lawyers. I wonder if it's going to work with the 9th. You know, Dr. Bethany Marshall, you were right on point, because if you take a close look at the domestic violence claims, They were fighting with each other. She has a battery by strangulation against him. And every time she called the cops on him, she drops charges and nails him out of jail. So they're fighting with each other. And she has a strangulation charge against her on him.
That's right. And we know that abusers always accuse the victims of abusing them. It's a strange reversal. So that might also be what's happening when he's in the suitcase. You know, when she says, "You cheated on me," I imagine they were at a bar and he smiled at a woman. I mean, with people like this, it's the most innocuous of events that make them feel deflated and then aggressive and want to have revenge. I think this help wanted ad for an attorney is very telling. What it tells me is she's very grandiose. She thinks she's going to be the next Casey Anthony. And she thinks she's giving this an attorney an opportunity, and she's manipulating it.
Actually, I don't know if I was muted or not. The cheating was, she admitted in the interrogation that the cheating was him being on his phone. She goes, "Well, I call him being on the phone with other women cheating." He could have been talking to his ex-wife, trying to deal with some stuff for the kids. He could have been talking to some old friends. They could have just been friends, somebody he's friends with. It could have been his freaking sister. When you're dealing with somebody like Sarah, if she's not getting all the attention, she blows up. So I think that's what they're talking about there. So do you guys think that Sarah is aspiring to be the next Casey Anthony? Do you actually think that that's the way she characterizes herself? I never thought about it that way. I really didn't, but I guess that makes sense. I'm the next best thing since Casey Anthony. Like, she's proud of it.
So this whole hide and seek thing, a 3-year-old knows that when you play hide and seek, you do it without the other person knowing. So she's really made up the defense after the fact, hasn't she? She lured him there. And I'm very curious about how she might have lured him there. I'm guessing, as I said earlier, that she's thought about this for a long, long time. She planned this. She didn't want to poison him, didn't want to stab him. That's too obvious. So dressing it up as sex play, you get in the suitcase and then we're going to have a lot of fun afterwards. That's what she did. She made up sort of a fictitious game that they were playing to put him in that suitcase. And Nancy, do you see that suitcase heaving as she's watching? It's like he's trying to expand his body to get some space to breathe. And also we have to acknowledge the sadism involved in this. I mean, who of us are not claustrophobic in some cases? So
I don't think he had claustrophobia. I don't think that has anything to do with it. See, like I said, some of the stuff that they're saying on here, I feel like they don't have a lot of information. I mean, obviously they're not into the case like we are. We probably have a problem the way we're into the case. I know I do. I don't know about y'all. I like that doctor. I think that we all, on my channel, I think we've all decided that he wasn't sticking his fingers out of that zipper area. We think, at least I do, and I think y'all agree with me. Most of you guys are on the same wavelength as I am on this, because as we're trying to theorize what happened, I think that his hands were up higher. I think the opening to where he could have unzipped the suitcase was down near his knees, or his feet, actually. If he's fetal, I don't know if he'd have been in a fetal position. I'm not sure, but it would have been his knees or his feet. So he wouldn't have been able to get his hand down there to that area. So, she's sitting here telling the story, and I think that's where she screwed up. She's telling the story like, "Oh yeah, when I zipped it up, I left it a little ways open." Yeah, but you didn't leave it open up by his head where he could have used his hand to unzip it. Does anybody disagree with me, or do you have another theory? I'm good with another theory. I did see a comment somewhere, and I can't remember which video it was, but somebody made a comment, and I apologize. I see so many, I don't write down y'all's names when I see this, but I do remember them. And you had said something about, at one point, she had dipped her son up in a suitcase. Well, we knew about that, right? But your theory involved the fact that she saw her son stick his fingers out of the suitcase at one point in time, right? So maybe when she had said, "I saw 2 little fingers sticking out," like she was visualizing that and saying that to the detectives kind of she was drunk. And it goes back to that too, guys. If she's so drunk, how does she remember these little details that she's lying about, that we know are lies? You know what I mean? It just, you can't, like I said, this is not Burger King. You cannot have it your way. It's either this way or that way. You can't have an in between. And that has to be the prosecution's going to go with this. It has to be. I mean, that and the fact that they've got a video. Let's see. Oh, the video. Oh, probably some phone calls. We definitely know we've got body cam footage that shows how she really is and how manipulative. Those, just the 3 that we've seen. We know there's at least 3 more, but the 3 that we've seen are enough, I think, for a jury to look at that. And I hope she has some women on that jury that go, I know her kind. I'm around her kind. I see exactly what she's doing. I know exactly what she's doing. Manipulative.
In this case, she thought about this. She prepared this. She may have even said, hey, sweetie, let's go take clothes to Goodwill so that she could put the suitcase downstairs and then put him in it.
Dr. Bethany Marshall.
Oh, they're missing the part about him being thrown down the steps. But I wonder, for the longest time, I just feel like she wasn't that smart. Like, it just all fell together for her. They were literally playing hide and seek. And the reason I say that is because I listened to how they were with each other, at least the way Sarah explains it. They're doing artwork. They're coloring. They're, painting. They're putting puzzles together. So playing hide and go seek is not that far-fetched. And when you listen to Sarah's mentality, like one of the things that, like, if you looked at her clothes, you know that little top that she was wearing, they just showed it. It was in that first video. It had it looked like something a child would wear. She has this way about her where I think she still thinks she's a child. Obviously, she said she made, she was an A+ student. She's still there. Maybe she's still stuck in that. And you remember when she said bye to her son on this last body cam video I put out, and she called him something termite head or something baby head or something like that. I don't have the terminology for it. She's just very childish in the way that she is. She's childish about how she is. Like, yes, she's what was she? She was 40, 42. So I'd knock a good 10 years off in her brain. I really would. The way that, and the fact that she's operating as being drunk too. I don't know. There's something about that piece of it that if you really want to think about it, it's not as cut and dry. Her childlike mind. And I think he had a childlike mind too. I think, and this is nothing against George. I feel like George was lost and he was manipulated. I do feel like maybe he wasn't all there. Maybe he wasn't that smart about it, and she probably saw him coming a mile away and said, because it seems like Brian is wised up a good bit, but it also seemed like Sarah, she used the hell out of Brian for the longest time. So she's always going to be one of those that her targets are going to be people that she can have that upper hand over. She's always going to be the one in the family that wears the pants or wants to be, thinks she does. Gosh, she's just a bad actor. Wait, here's that shirt. She's showing it. There it is.
1-1. And
see that? What is that on her shirt? But it looks something like a child would wear.
What's interesting, if you watch,
I think it had cows on it, like little cartoon characters. All right, let's listen to what she says.
We also heard from investigators that they spoke to her neighbors who kind of painted the same picture of her, someone who gets drunk a lot and, hears issues with the two of them in their apartment.
She's suffering because she has dry mouth. I've got severe cotton mouth. May I have my Dr. Pepper?
What? Nancy, she's really
She can't claim she's drunk this time. Okay, she's totally sober.
Well, actually, when you drink a lot, you do get thirsty. That's one of the signs.
You guys, did you notice in the interrogation room, she was drinking that water. She started drinking on that water as soon as she got in there. The one in the police station, they gave her like a clear cup. Did y'all notice? I'm still want to break down that interrogation a little bit further. We're not done. We're diving deep.
I think it's fascinating that she's already thought of the defense before she calls the police, right? She says this is a happy domestic situation in so many words. They're putting together a puzzle. They're going to remove art from the wall. It's sort of like there's this cozy domestic situation going on between the two of them.
Except that he's dead.
Except that he's dead. But she's thought a long time about this, Nancy.
Exactly how long?
Robin Dreek, help me out. You're the chief of the FBI Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program. He's dead. He's purple. And she's whining that she has cotton mouth and she demands her Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, it's all about her. Everything's all about her. And we're seeing this life arc of her that we're even getting a glimpse of it from her ex-husband, is saying a pattern of substance abuse, a pattern of self-centeredness, that the child, if there's a child involved here, it sounds like the child lives with him.
Yep.
And then really interesting language that she's using as well. She, in one of the statements, she said, I put him in a suitcase, not he got in the suitcase.
Yes.
It was I put in. Then she counters it at a later time saying that he got in. So which is it? I think, again, it goes back to the self-centeredness, control, and I'm on board with you with she completely objectified him, dehumanized him by putting him in a suitcase like a thing, like an object.
Let's just say they were drinking, right? And they had the suitcase downstairs, and she probably said something like, I bet you can't fit in there. You know, something like that. That I believe more than hide and seek. If somebody's messing around, because that would be something that, you know, you're drinking, it's sitting there, you're like, you can't fit in there. Like, I've gained weight. I can fit in there. I can't fit in there. I bet I can. Okay, let's see. And so what does she do? Now she's still, and they haven't touched on this yet, but she made that comment about how she was upset that he had left her in the shower, waiting in the shower. Maybe she went to shower, and she was hoping he was going to come meet her in there, and he didn't, and it pissed her off because he didn't. She was rejected by him in that sense. That could be the whole shower thing, but I don't know. I was hiding in the shower. He hid in the shower too. He already knew how to hide in the shower. We found that from the September 4th event that we just watched the body cam on.
Philip Dubé, veteran defense attorney, joining us out of LA. So she just decided to sleep in that morning. Didn't want to come downstairs. I guess didn't want to see the dead body in the suitcase. Do you really believe she slept through the night with him in a suitcase, and then the next morning decided to just sleep in, have a nice long nap?
Yeah, I do. The blasé cavalier attitude about it tells us that she was probably a little hungover, that she slept the night through from having downed 3-4 glasses of wine. It probably really loosened her up to the point where she just nodded off, fell asleep, woke up, and then when she realized what she had done, she picks up the phone and called 911 in a panic.
That's not what she did. She laid in bed. She walked around. She probably went outside and had a cigarette. She probably went into the kitchen and got her Dr. Pepper. The dogs were probably sniffing around the suitcase, and that's how she realized he was in there. She acts like she went out looking for him. I don't think she did. I think if she had forgotten about it, she goes, oh, that's right. I left him in the suitcase. Why isn't he moving? Is he sleeping still? So she goes down and zip it. And then she's like, oh shit. Oh shit. Now what do I do? Well, she doesn't call 911. She calls her ex-husband. How do I get out of this? Help me. Save me, Brian. You always save me. What do I do, Brian?
Try to get mouth to mouth.
You think you're the only one?
Not mouth to mouth.
That's
CPR.
tried a lot of homicides.
I know CPR is considered mouth to mouth. It wasn't that though. She was pumping his chest. I don't think she was blowing in his mouth.
Listen, killers aren't always rocket scientists. They're not brain surgeons. They're not like Bethany or Dr. Kendall Crowns. You want me to give her a gold star, what, an A+, because she didn't dispose of the body? And to you, Dr. Kendall Crowns, if they split a bottle of wine, which I don't know that they even did that, and they split it right down the middle, so she had 2 glasses, 3 glasses, maybe, and that makes her sleep till 1 o'clock the next day. I'm not buying that.
Yeah, I'd be surprised by that too, because 3 glasses of wine would put her blood alcohol at about 0.06. So she's not even at the legal limit for intoxication.
And if she's an alcoholic, she would have to drink a lot to get drunk.
So I don't think she's wiped out all day from 3 glasses of wine.
Sarah always lies about her wine. She never tells the truth about it. Oh, now they're going to get into the interrogation and they're going to let this guy talk about it. I love it. She always downplays it. Oh, I just had 2, or I just had 1, or I wasn't drinking. Like, I wasn't drunk. Oh, well, I was drinking a lot. Oh, well, it's alcohol. It was the alcohol.
Oh, listen to this.
And I wasn't planning on going upstairs and going to sleep.
Okay, so going upstairs and going to sleep, that was an accident too. Robin Dreek, what is she saying? She's really digging her own grave with her own teeth. The more she talks, the deeper the grave gets, because she says, hey, you don't know who I am. I'm an all A student. That sounds to me like when Deborah LaFave, who was charged with child molestation of young boys, basically argued, I'm too pretty to go to jail. Or Ethan Couch, he mowed down a whole group of people on the side of the road, and he says, I'm too rich to go to jail. This one's saying, I shouldn't go to jail because I'm a straight A student.
Yeah, and she's also used an interesting language here as well. She didn't say, I didn't do that. She said, I wouldn't do that. So she's distancing herself from the actual event itself. It's a classic thing we've seen in a lot of different murder trials and a lot of different murderers, that they've tried to distance themselves from their victims by using language that is like that. Again, her lack of effect during the entire process is profound, and it keeps focusing on her. She's not having any reaction that you expect from someone that just lost someone that's close to them, boyfriend, husband, anyone. She just seems completely unaffected by the entire thing, except the impact on her.
Again, we're trial prepping. We're getting ready for October 7th. I will see you. Wait. Oh, I'm sorry. What did you say, Sarah? What was that?
I've been here for 4 years and I'm tired of being here, and I'm tired of going through all of these attorneys, which are not my fault. But when 100 days have passed and I haven't heard or said or done anything other than try to figure out where you are because your phone doesn't work, I'm not a bad person because of that.
You actually are kind of a crappy person. We've decided you pretty much are.
I don't think you all understand who I am. I mean, I've always been a straight A student.
Have you been drinking?
I have a drink. I am an outstanding mother to my son.
It's her day to pick up the kid, but it doesn't always happen. 1 or 2 days a week, maybe she gets him.
Go back inside. Jesus.
Do you need Jesus right now?
I excel at everything.
She hasn't worked for over 2 years. I mean, she was always calling to borrow money, and it's been like 2 years since she got a job.
Babe, I had no idea.
Jesus Christ.
Thank you for watching, everyone. And listen, if you were enjoying those weekly crime news reports that I was doing, where we hopped around from topic to topic and gave about 2 to 3 minutes on each, I have started a sub-channel dedicated to crime news only. So please check out the link to that channel down in the description box below. And if you don't mind, subscribe so you can be notified next time I upload a video. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please do not forget to like and subscribe on your way out, and feel free to leave a comment. Have a blessed day.